Welcome to Business Authority Radio, bringing you insights from today's thought leaders, professionals, and influencers. With your hosts, Neil Howe and Craig Williams.
Welcome to another edition of Business Authority Radio. This is a special edition of, all of them are special, but this one is very special and near and dear to my heart. We have Justin Batt. No, we have Justin Batt. Got to get that right, that name. And we're not doing a do-over, so we're going to go with it. So Justin Batt of ForbesBooks. He's the chair of healthcare and sports business. But that's not why we're here tonight or today or whenever you listen to this podcast, because it's evergreen. We're here because when you look up Justin's profile, the first thing that he has, it says husband and father. And it brought me back to those days when that's how I used to, as a serial entrepreneur, people would always ask, what do you do? I said, husband and father. Husband of one, father of four. That's what I always would say. And I go into, possibly what I was doing at that moment. And when I saw your profile, it touched my heart because that's really what it's all about. Families build communities, communities build society. And we're at this incredible crowdfunding conference in Vegas. And basically it's a platform for bringing community together to support one another. And so that's why we're here. We want to talk about that initiative. We're talking to a TED Talk phenomenon, Mr. Justin Batt. You could Google that. We're talking to a guy who's a mover and shaker in industry, and he's married to an incredible woman who herself is an entrepreneur. And we're going to hear more about how he got into this initiative, but I'm going to let him take it from here. Justin Batt, tell me about this new venture that you've been fired up about.
Well, thanks so much for the opportunity and having me on. It's really, it's a passion of mine because it's an epidemic in our country. Mm-hmm. There are 23 million children today, 1 in 3 in America, that don't have a biological father living in the home. And on the other side of that, there's 49 million children in America that have a biological father or a father figure living in the home. And how many of them are disengaged dads? Mm-hmm. They're dads that are kind of that vacant shell, that distracted dad that's just not engaged with his children on a regular basis. And so it is an epidemic, and I believe there's a solution. That solution is really being intentional with your kids, creating those engaging, epic moments. And for me, that was about 9.5 years ago on a Saturday, and I learned that what would become Daddy's Saturday, which is the platform, all began when our daughter was born. And my wife was quickly back to work as an entrepreneur on Saturdays, and I was left to be on Saturday alone with my first child. Fast forward now 9.5 years, and we have 4 children, 9, 7, 5, and 3, a girl and 3 boys.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And what I've found is that over all of that time, I've spent about 12,000 hours in total, if you add all that up, combine it, on Saturdays with my children. And in Malcolm Gladwell's book, that'd probably say I'm an expert dad, the rule of 10,000 hours, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'd say I'm far from an expert dad, but what I would say is that I've learned quite a few things along the way. And one of those things was it's about intentionality. Mm-hmm. It wasn't long after I started being with my kids on Saturdays that they would come to me midweek on Wednesday and say, Dad, is it Daddy's Saturday yet? What are we doing on Saturday? What's the plan? What's the game plan? And I found out that I had to be intentional. I couldn't just loaf into a Saturday without a plan. And so they affectionately named it Daddy's Saturday, and our epic adventures kind of began. So to date, we've done things like we've had bubble wrap battles, and we've done pool on the trampoline. We've blown up volcanoes. We've had paper airplane wars. We've built more racetracks and obstacle courses than I can count. Probably done things that were unimaginable with water balloons and glow sticks more things than I ever thought possible. And we've had some epic, very inspiring moments that I've just treasured with my children. Mm-hmm. And the point is that when you do that as a dad, when you engage your kids at that level, when you're very intentional, not only do you create memory burns in both of your lives that'll last forever, but you're really setting your kids up to become not just good kids, but good kids that become great adults. And that's really the ultimate mission for the platform.
Wow. I mean, you come out of the space of media, which is our greatest platform for influencing. ForbesBooks. I mean, we all know that name. And here you're building something to help build the core relationships that we need to be promoting in media. Foundationally, the relationship with a father and his child. And that's pretty interesting in the sense that I could tell how excited you are about that as you are in business, but there's just an extra glow. Tell me a little bit more about the backstory on why you wound up with your kids on the weekend, and where was the wife?
Yeah, so, as you referenced, she is an incredible woman and she's a successful entrepreneur. So over 10 years ago, we started a startup bridal boutique. And in the world of bridal and retail, Saturdays are the busiest day. And so, mama's got to work to pay the bills and keep the startup going. And so in support of her and her entrepreneurial endeavors, it was part of my commitment was to stay home with my kids. And we did that at an early age, and it progressed as we went forward. And it became a thing where, now she's at the point in her career where she could certainly start pulling back on Saturdays. But it's not that we don't want her to be there.
Yeah.
It's just that Daddy Saturday is established. So it became more of a just a culture shift in our family where we would spend the week together. Saturday is Daddy Saturday, and then Sunday is a family day where we all go to church and just have our time together as a family. Awesome. What I would say, though, is that early on in that process, it wasn't just about Saturdays. That's obviously just the intentionality piece of it, and that's our platform. But even midweek with 4 kids, the hardest challenge that I have is getting one-off time with my kids. And so I started doing daddy-daughter date nights at an early age. I can remember taking my daughter out when she was 3 for her first daddy-daughter date night. I'll never forget it. I'm dressed in a suit and tie. She's in her little red dress, so cute. And we go to a nice restaurant. I'm showing her the manners of things of generations past, right? Opening doors and saying please and thank you, treating others with respect. And she ordered plain noodles with a hint of butter and a Shirley Temple.
Wow.
And I had my nice meal. And at the end of the dinner, it was we walked across the market in Charleston to People Watch, one of our favorite things to do. And I felt the crumple of the receipts in my pocket, and pulling them out, I looked, and it was $70 that I had spent on dinner. And I thought to myself, how did you just spend $70 on dinner with your 3-year-old? Most of it was mine, but the point, right?
Yeah.
And I quickly had a paradigm shift for me, which was, now you invested $70 in the life of your child.
Yeah.
What a great investment that was. And so it's been moments like that where I've intentionally made investments in my kids' lives, and those investments are paying dividends, not just now, but hopefully later on down the road when they grow up and become adults.
Certainly. So you've built a platform that basically allows other executives, professionals, entrepreneurs to carve that time, and specifically to fathers, obviously, because the brand is Daddy Saturdays. And that's usually, like you said, we started with the numbers of the absent father or the disengaged father. What's the business model of this platform? Or is it a non-for-profit? Is it a business, or is it just a platform or a tool?
That's a great question. First, let me start by saying that I gave a lot of statistics early on in the conversation. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that the average American male works over 8 hours a day, spends roughly 4 hours or more on their mobile device, 2 hours watching television a day, 2 hours doing household chores and duties, and less than 2 hours caring for and helping household children.
Wow.
But here's what's scary. That number actually goes down on the weekends when we'd expect dads to be spending more time with their kids. So Daddy Saturday really is the platform for other dads to just, whether it's a wake-up call, whether it's a look back or a look forward, it's for dads to say, you know what, I'm going to stand up and be an engaged, intentional father with my kids and spend time with them and create those memories that are really important for me and my kids, which will allow them to change what it is that they'll become in adulthood. What I would say about the business model is that it is a for-profit business, but here's why. Because I believe that as a for-profit, I can take the model and impact more dads. And I've committed early on in the process that we're giving 10% of all proceeds back right off the top, any profits, directly to families where they don't have a father in the home. So whether it's the Boys and Girls Club or mentoring organizations that we can help support that encourage father figures, that's number one in the company. But number two is that we want to take this and really impact dads at a large level. So a couple of things. One is we have a YouTube channel. We're certainly maximizing social media to put the platform out there, because right now when you look at especially the millennial fathers coming up, they're consuming content. The content they're consuming isn't from major media brands. The content they're consuming is from channels like YouTube, right?
Yeah.
The Generation Z fathers who will be slowly coming up, they're curating content, but they're also consuming it in the same platform. So I'm really trying to target that younger generation of dads, which will be the future of fatherhood as we go forward. The other thing we're trying to do is create a live event space. So imagine going to a college football game or a professional football game or a Major League Baseball game and having an interactive Daddy Saturday tailgate where fathers could bring their kids and have an interactive experience where they get exposed to the intentionality of being a dad and using Daddy Saturday as a platform. And then we're doing all sorts of other things. I have a book coming out before Father's Day next year. The book will have 52 ideas, 52 weeks in a year for engaging your kids. And then we're also creating a sub-company, which will be the Daddy Saturday Dad Box. And so it's one of those box subscription companies where you get the box sent to your home, and it'll have 4 weeks worth, so a month's worth once a month, of activities that are pre-planned, ready to go, everything you need to engage your kids at that level. Wow. It'll be age-based, so of course, and boy-girl, so you can really target any family and have those ideas ready-made for the dads to make it easy on them. Because what I found in my own life is that oftentimes I'm overcoming my own insecurities as a dad, because you're thinking, do my kids really want to spend time with me? And when they're young, it's easy. But when they get older, you got to get their head away from the technology and out of the phone. And it's not cool to be with dad anymore. So we've got a platform to engage kids at every level. And I think the biggest thing, again, is being intentional, being epic. Epic doesn't have to be expensive or extraordinary. It can just be taking your kids and doing something that you know is important to them, they're going to value, and that makes it epic.
And that epic is what we like to say is priceless. They make commercials about that. It's priceless. The quantifiability of that, you can't. The experience that you lay down that child will remember and pass on to other. I mean, this is Business Authority Radio, and usually I'm across from the gurus, the experts, but I want to challenge the listenership here. And we do what we do in business for not only our community, but our families, for our legacy, as men and women. But we know women got us here. It's our responsibility as men to build that protection, to build that foundation, and build a structure, a safe structure for our children, and to grow up in, so that they can focus on those vocations and those specialties that they will go into, and not be distracted by, as human beings, we're all broken, but not be distracted by those things that were designed to be there so that we can be greater contributors to the society that we're in.
So, Craig, I love that. And what I would say to that is that it does impact business. And here's why. Because when you look at the reason we say it's an epidemic today is because when you think about the rates of a child without a father, so fatherlessness without that biological father, they've got a 4 times greater likelihood of living in poverty. They've got a 2 times greater likelihood of being obese, 2 times more likely to be a high school dropout. They're also more likely to be pregnant as a teenager and to abuse drugs.
Or get someone pregnant.
Get someone pregnant, or commit a crime, abuse drugs, and go to prison. So when you think about our future generations and rising up entrepreneurs and business leaders, when you look at those statistics, by not having a father in the home, how does that support growing our next level of business leaders? In addition, if we have a bunch of disengaged dads who aren't there with their kids, same thing. And that's why it's an epidemic. So we have to break the cycle. The way we break that is by being intentional as parents, by creating our own Daddy Saturdays in our own way. And that does impact business. And I'll tell you something else is that, what most people miss in the story is that this all started because I supported my wife as an entrepreneur. I was willing to set aside my own agenda of playing golf and having hobbies, or maybe even taking some sacrifices at work at times to support her and help her grow.
Yeah.
So,
which is another thing we don't do enough of.
Exactly. So any way you look at it, it's. But I couldn't do that if I wasn't a father figure in the home.
There you go.
Right? So no matter what, any way we slice and dice this thing, our economy, our future leaders, the future of business, it all comes back to the structure of the family. We have to end the breakdown of the family, and fathers have to be the leader of the family. That's what we're called to be.
Yeah, we're all affirmed by a father. Mm-hmm. We get here through our mothers. Mm-hmm. They nurture us, but the affirmation for both male and female comes from a father. And if he's not been affirmed, then it perpetuates itself. And that's what we've gotten to a point where we have to look at the reality and the truth that precedes certain facts, but the truth about a structure that was set up to empower all of us. Yeah.
You know what else, Craig? One thing that I've done with my kids, and I've encouraged others to do, because a lot of single moms will come up to me and they'll say, I love your message. It's so powerful. But I'm a single mom.
Yes.
Like, I don't have a father in the home, and I can't fix that. So how am I supposed to embody what you're espousing? And what I tell them is that, look, I'm not all things to my kids. So I'm talented in some areas. I'm not talented in others. I mean, when we first got married, I could barely hang a picture on the wall. I'm still not very handy. So that is one of my deficiencies.
Yeah.
There are lots of other things that I'm not great at. I'm not a great musician, right? So I have taken my kids and exposed them to other male figures that have talents in all of those areas.
It takes a village. It's always taken a village.
It does. But when we talk about business authority, I'm exposing my kids to other areas so when they grow up, I don't care if my kid wants to be an athlete, a musician, a construction worker, a business leader, a salesman, it doesn't matter. But I'm exposing them to all those different people and helping them see what business authority, business mastery looks like in all of those areas.
And a responsible example of that.
You got it. Yeah, so, I'm doing that in my own family and showing my kids that I'm not great in everything. And neither will you be. It's about finding your skill level. It's about finding what you're passionate about, your talent, and then going that direction. So the same thing is true for single mothers, for single fathers. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It does take a village. And I think that's how it also impacts business long term.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit more about the experience that a person would have with this app. Is it an app or a platform, or is it just the videos?
Yeah, the app will be there. We really started with the videos because that was just us capturing those moments.
Yeah,
and then
you have to see it mostly, yeah.
Giving others the ideas and letting them see it happen. And, a picture's worth 1,000 words in this circumstance. But no, it's the website, the videos, the books coming out, the YouTube opportunity. We're all across social media, of course, Instagram and Facebook. We actually have, this will be interesting for your listeners. So we have the dad test coming out. Find out what kind of dad you are.
Wow.
And what the test will do is it's an interactive value-added quiz that a dad can take. And we've all seen these quizzes on social media. Mm-hmm. But essentially what it'll do is it'll allow the dad to take the quiz and just understand the level of engagement. Mm-hmm. And, it's a scale, it's a spectrum. And it's okay. I think what it does is brings reality to the situation. And if you're a dad that's lower in the scale, then it gives you the opportunity to step up, and we give you the resources to
just
do that.
Feedback. It's feedback. It's not judgment. It's feedback.
It's exactly right. Yeah. Thank you. You said that perfectly. And I think if you're on the other end of the scale, it's a wake-up call to say, I am doing the right things.
Yeah.
And to keep doing what I'm doing. And so there's lots of ways that we're going to use the platform to engage at a very high level.
Okay. Tell us how we could get in touch with you, or your social media tags and whatnot. How do we find out about Daddy Saturdays outside of daddysaturdays.com, obviously? Right?
Sure. So the website, daddysaturday.com, the YouTube channel, we are Daddy Saturday. All the handles are Daddy Saturday across social media. And I would encourage folks, if you'd like to reach out by email, it's info@daddysaturday.com.
Awesome. This will be on the show notes. I do want to give another shout out to ForbesBooks, and we appreciate. It's interesting that you're eating the cooking that you all have over at Forbes Book. You talk about the book. You talked about using social media. We're at a crowdfunding conference right now, speaking to community, because that's all basically crowdfunding is bringing community to find that support system that we've always had. We just didn't have the vehicles and the platforms that we have now available to us. how is what you're doing at Forbes contributing to what you're doing?
Yeah, it's what we've done at ForbesBooks and in Advantage Media is really focus on building authorities in their field. Mm-hmm. And so if you look at across the business professional world, we found that it's now more of a micro media economy, and that we need people to start viewing themselves as media brands. So it's not about the corporate brand anymore. The corporate brand is still important, but we have to promote individual brands because that's what people want to consume. And in doing so, oftentimes that means having your own personal brand website, showing up online. You are who Google says you are today.
Yes.
And so who does Google say that you are? And, in my case, Google says that I'm a business leader. It also says that I'm a husband, a father, and a daddy Saturday.
Exactly.
Right? And that's who I want to be represented as. And they also see me as a speaker and as an author. And I think that any business leader needs to take that advice and look at themselves and say, how am I currently represented? Am I looking at myself as a media brand, or am I looking at myself as a marketer, or am I in obscurity at this point?
Yeah.
And that's what ForbesBooks and Advantage Media is espousing, in that the start of authority is being an author.
Yeah,
it's a part of the word.
Exactly.
It's a big
That's
part
my
of the
middle
word.
name, Arthur. So just
there you go.
We'll talk about that in another episode. Yeah.
But that's a big part of it. So it starts with authorship.
Yes.
And then it's around building an authority platform around you through speaking, events, media, publicity, and really claiming your place online.
Yeah. I love the humility approach that you made, as far as knowing that being a father is a lifetime pursuit. It's a journey. There's never a destination for any of us,
That's right.
As fathers. And I think if we look at most of what we're chasing in business, even as not being a destination, we tend to have that destination mentality. It starts when we're a kid, and I can't wait till I'm 15. I can't wait till I'm, a teenage, 19, 21. We race through life going for these destinations, where the destination is the journey. And when it comes to authority marketing, when it comes to that brand, it goes back to the story of you being present in where you are and identifying what your offering is in value. And people come to you, and I'm talking to you, the audience, for something. You've built a platform on some type of value. And that's what the future holds. And an authority, having that third party, yes, mom's going to talk great about you. Your marketing team, you pay them to do that for you. The publicist, that's what their job is. But getting that third party media. And media is social media. What does, like you said, what does Google have to say about you? That's what people are going to see. And it's very important that we attach to that to our psyche, that we understand, perception is reality. Until I get to experience that reality, perception is the reality for me. And if you want to be known as a great father, be that. If you want to be that business person, be that. But be it in a way where you have that third party. And I constantly quote the 27th proverb in 2. It says, better to have another person to speak on your behalf than yourself, but even better to have a stranger. And today, stranger is considered the, social media, period, that third party who really has not an interest in sharing what they have been given about you. They're just putting it out there. And so I challenge all fathers. I challenge all professionals. This is not a gender-based show, but right now we're talking about Daddy Saturdays right now. We probably have a Sunday mothers or something, but Mother's Day, they have Mother's Day. And the mothers have done quite a bit. They constantly are stepping up when we have it. And so it's a call out to the men, to the fathers, to be present. And I have a right to speak to that. I grew up in a single, my mother did remarry later on, but, I grew up without that, and that's something that I recognize I wanted for my children. So I was very intentional. And that's the word. As intentional as we are about business and entertainment and sports, we need to be about the most important and the only eternal investment we can make is in other human beings. And if that human being came from an activity that you had to play a part in them being here, you better step up to the plate.
So Craig, you said a couple of really important things there. I think one is that you talked about it being a journey, right?
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about both the offline brand, that's who you are as a business leader, who you are as a dad, how you show up, every day at work, how you show up in front of your kids. And we just talked about the online version of you. It's important to really maximize both. And I'm a big student of peak performance, and I can't believe I saved this until the end, my friend. But what I think it is how do you achieve peak performance in both?
Accountability. Excuse me.
Yeah, we just talked about peak performance, online. It's how you show up, and it's showing up on the first page of Google and being ranked and being seen exactly how you want to be seen. Mm-hmm. But it's that peak performance offline that, as a business leader, are you spending everything in your tank during the week so that when you get home and you have that time on the weekends, you're a disengaged dad? Or are you sleeping well? Are you eating right? Are you exercising?
Getting that balance.
Getting that balance in life. So again, bringing it back to business, it all comes full circle.
Yeah.
And if you achieve peak performance offline and you achieve peak performance online, and you bring those two things together, then you're showing up as how people perceive you. And that's when those two things come together. And I don't care if you're a business leader or you're a father. That's what matters. And
you just spoke to character, basically. And character is what you're being when nobody's looking. And that's going to show up eventually, as we have seen in the media, unfortunately, from most of what we see in the media. Justin Batt of ForbesBooks, but most important, of Daddy Saturdays. DaddySaturdays.com. Is it with an S?
Just Daddy Saturday.
DaddySaturday.com. Did you get Daddy Saturdays as well?
I think I have that as well.
Yeah. Well, let's make sure. Okay. Anyways, thanks for joining us. This has been an enlightened conversation, I know, for the audience, and a great challenge that we all need.
Well, Craig, if I can say one final comment in closing.
Please.
It's this, that the challenge to myself and to you and to
I accept the challenge.
To dads everywhere is this. Are you willing to step up, create a compelling vision for yourself and your kids, to be humble, intentional, self-sacrificing, and really change the world one Daddy Saturday at a time?
There you go.
You've been listening to Business Authority Radio with Neil Howe and Greg Williams. To learn more about the resources mentioned in today's show, or to listen to past episodes, visit businessauthorityradio.com.